A very good morning to you. Thank you so very much, everyone, for staying with us here on Global Television. This is how we specially welcome you to Global Morning. Today, I'm Uyi Agmofwebe.
And I'm Priscilla Obasi. Such a delight, as always, to be here on a Tuesday morning. Yes,
yeah, of course. Second day into the strike by Academic Staff Union of Universities. I know you've been impacted, but
Yes.
let's not talk about you for a second. But again, can we really pretend not to talk about these things? Several issues that raise concern. Just behind the camera a while ago, you and I were talking about some sort of very nasty intellectual property infringement, what they call IP, infraction and all of that. So why would I want to play around the brand and all that? But it's a story about how people can go to almost any length, to one, exploit the hard work, intellectual, efforts of one person just to give some sort of economic advantage to another person. There's so much we take for granted in this part of the world. Maybe out of desperation to make two ends meet, but somebody said those ends have never really met.
They haven't.
All right.
So the gist is iPhone 17 versus iPhone XR. People come in like, there's this whole fuss. I don't know. I have never been freaked about acquiring the latest iPhone. It's not
Even as a lady,
I have really never been freaked. But I mean, a lot of people just can go any length.
Right.
And funny enough, those ladies that want to go, let's not talk about the guys. Of course, everybody's.
I think guys can go with anything as long as they can access the internet.
Yes, exactly. But for the ladies, some ladies can go to any length to get the latest technology when it comes to iPhone.
Gadgets
but
and stuff.
the funny thing is, if you ask most of them, they don't even know how to use this thing. They do not know their whereabouts.
Right.
It's just like the Ibom lady. That period that was asked to switch off her phone, and she didn't know where the button, the switch off button was on the phone. So it's funny. And then, of course, trust Nigerians would always use anything to extort each other.
Right.
Yes, when we know that you have a fuss about it, you are freaked about it, and that's why it's been buzzing on the internet. Yesterday. Video keep coming out to say, "Oh, Billard, you are selling iPhone 17 refurbished," and I'm wondering, how would the real iPhone 17 owners feel seeing all of these things? Like, you just want to go any length to do. I mean, is this not supposed to be a crime?
Okay, now speaking about the criminal, talking about it from a criminal standpoint, right? A while ago, I was just reading something by I don't want to call him influencer because that word has been abused and bastardized lately, but it's an amazing person on Facebook, Dr. Charles Awuzie.
Okay, I think.
Yeah, sure. He wrote about this, and you could almost shed tears when you read his opinion about it. First of all, he says that we're telling a bad story of intellectual property exploitation. All right, it's already bad that you're exploiting someone else's intellectual property, but we're even telling the story in a way that is pathetic.
I'm telling you.
For example, he says you'll be shocked that Apple has the right to even arrest those who have imported these very unfortunate device, as you call it, and those who have even purchased it, because somehow somebody had to. It's somebody's idea.
Of course.
Somebody went to maybe Asia, who knows, China perhaps, to get all of these things. But you see, it's just a reminder of how that values have been eroded for the most part, and how that some persons are also very naive. Even though we say, yes, ignorance of the law is not an excuse, but some of these things come from a place of naivety. The fact that people just feel, I'll give an example. So you are in school, you're graduating. Everybody is getting their project topic approved by their respective supervisors. And somebody goes to maybe 8 years back, 12 years back, 15 years back to pick someone else's project. And as my friend would say, all you're doing is just remove the matric number, department, and you just use every other thing word for word, or as they say in Latin, verbatim. And you take it for granted. You feel it's not, in fact, you feel you're smarter than your colleagues in class who went the whole hog, took the pain, took the time, to get theirs done and things like that. So we need, people say we need value reorientation, I agree, but I think it's some sort of re-engineering of our minds that we need. Otherwise, what we're talking about on the program today is just the very beginning.
Yeah, some people call it working smart, but then is it really working smart? They don't work hard. Work smart.
It is when someone steals your own idea, you know that it's not working smart.
It's ridiculous. It's
not. There's a lot to talk about on the program today. We also want to be smart about how we bring you Global Morning, but I want to also do that within the frame of the law and want to be as ethical and professional about that as possible. When we return from this break, we'll put the rest of the show on the road for you. Please stay with us. Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
At the top of the program this morning, we just made some sort of mention of the strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, that has entered the second day. Of course, we saw this coming because the whole time the union had warned the federal government, Nigeria, and indeed parents and guardians, as well as students across public universities in this country about this industrial action. But that came to fruition yesterday. This is the second day. It has been a case of let's see who blinks first. Because on the one hand, ASU says we are going on strike and the reasons are well spelled out. Yeah. And then they actually go on strike. The federal government comes out and says, well, we've done our parts, the ball is in your court. However, if you insist on this strike and you indeed go ahead to down tools, we are going to invoke the no work, no pay policy. And yesterday, the federal government came out officially with that position. Yeah. This is the second day. And again, this is a case of two elephants fighting and the grass is suffering day two. The fact of the matter was, as of bedtime yesterday, some persons had told us that both parties were not ready to negotiate, especially from the side of the federal government. Whether a meeting has been called now of the critical stakeholders to say, let's have a sit down and talk about the differences, iron out all of these issues and move forward. I'm not so sure of that, but it's still early in the day, at least in West Africa, so we keep an eye out and see what the announcement will be. But Priscilla, we've been here more than once, right?
Of course. Well, it's been a long time coming. That's just what it is.
Right.
And like you said, a lot of students were at the verge of examination. Some of them had already started. Some, are already rounding up. And I just can imagine the effects of all of this on them. Again, I wonder why was she talking about strike? It's been a long time, though. Nigerian, ASU, right? ASU went on strike. It's been a long time. I think 2-3 years ago. Right, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I think they also had a strike earlier this year. It's just that it wasn't so extensive.
It wasn't extensive. I don't think they even held that strike. I don't think it didn't hold. It was, mentioned, but then I don't think it occurred. But at the same time, we need to. These lecturers they are angry. They have the right to express themselves, because if you look at it critically, the educational sector looks as if it is abandoned in this country. Lecturers earning peanuts, the education sector is meant to be, or it's supposed to be the bedrock.
Right.
It's supposed to be the foundation of the society, because that is where every other sector stems out from. But then we have this, lecturers, complain over and over again. And if you compare it to what our politicians earn, you see that they have every reason to feel the way they are feeling. Because, some 10 years ago, for you to be called a lecturer, the prestige that comes with being a lecturer.
So what changed?
But right now, some lecturers feel intimidated by students.
That conversation is tough.
Yes, some lecturers feel intimidated by students.
Why is that? Is it possible, is on account of the fact that these undergraduates are from well-off homes? Maybe they drive very posh cars.
No,
they
because
live large,
times are
generally.
changing. You see an undergraduate doing a lot of techie stuff right in school. See most of them, getting legitimately doing good business on social media.
Right.
And at the same time too, I think it's time for they themselves to upgrade. Yes, you cannot
and begin to critically consider multiple streams of income.
Yes, and not just that. We found out that most of our curriculum are actually outdated. You as a lecturer, you are teaching what is not applicable
in 2025
to today's world, and you're teaching a student that is, should I say, smarter than you,
because it's more in touch with the realities.
It's more in touch with the reality. So they are able to pick maybe the little they can pick from whatever you're saying and apply it to whatever it is that is relevant today.
Right.
While you are there, struggling with the old school knowledge. So you cannot really make so much of that knowledge outside the four walls.
So for such a lecturer, it has to be paycheck after paycheck.
Exactly, because there's a way to turn your intellectual ideas to good source of income, multiple streams of income. It is possible, but they are left in that old school, old generational knowledge, and it is difficult for them to go beyond. Survive beyond the paycheck, and I think it's part of their frustration.
I like this angle, Priscilla. I mean, this is not me trying to flatter you, but I think it's brilliant. Brilliant in the sense that we seem to be, maybe the best word I can find off the top of my head is fixated, all right, on the issue of call of the strike. We also need to look at the fundamental factors underlying the reason we have these instances in strikes within universities in the first instance. The lecturers have challenges. Well, I mean, in recent years, we've seen many of these academics come out to talk about how that a professor's salary is less than 600,000 and so on and so forth. And then I sit on my own. This is not me as a broadcaster. This is me as a Nigerian who has also passed through the public university system. I sit on my own. I'm asking myself, what does it take at the minimal to become a professor in Nigeria? All right, at the minimal. Let's say, for example, with due respect to all the academics in this country, the most mediocre professor, for example, what did it take him or her to become a professor? Vis-a-vis what they should be earning on account of that effort, that journey, that investment of time, money, and energy. Because nobody just makes you a professor from nowhere.
Of course.
There must be something you have invested in that process. All right. So will it be commiserate with those efforts if we say, I mean, going by what we hear, we have not actually seen the pay scale of these academics, to say they are earning 600,000 at the level of being a professor? It makes you ask again, what is there for the pay, I mean, for an entry-level lecturer in Nigeria? Because for you to be a professor, there's a chance you're putting, who knows, maybe an average or a minimum of 20 years as, I mean, consistently teaching, researching, and all of that. All right. So what about the guy who just graduated 2 years ago and now he's just, I think that's what they call graduate assistant and all of that. So it's worrisome. But again, you just said something that struck a chord, right? I remember I did an elective in computer science. Well, it was a boring class. Sorry for another day. But the lecturer, who is now a professor himself in a private university in this country, did say something that I found very stimulating. He said, look, nobody is going to, within this university space, even as a full-fledged computer science undergraduate, teach you the practical aspects of it. He said, even as a lecturer, I had to go to the streets. That was his word. He said he had to go to the streets to go learn the practical aspects of software, of hardware, and things like that. So if we were to go to, at that time, the computer science department of that university, how many lecturers can say they also went to that extent? All right. He didn't have to blame anybody. He didn't have to fault the system. He just took his own destiny in his hands. He took the bull by the horns. But somebody said the bull doesn't have horns anymore because we'll be pulling the horns over time. Yeah, but quite frankly, the point he was making was that even as an academic, you must be creative. You must be innovative. I know of a lecturer, for example, one time university chapter chairman of ASUTU, who is into production of different products because he's a chemist by training. He's a professor of chemistry. All right. So he realizes that he can't rely on what he's paid as an academic. So he goes into an enterprise that doesn't conflict with his terms of contract with the university. All right. And I mean, I know him firsthand. you realize that he lives a decent life. He's not flamboyant, but he lives a decent, modest life. I'm not so sure what he earns from that university could have guaranteed that kind of life for him. So I think it's also time ASUU looked inward and said to itself, and of course its members, let's rethink how we do this thing that we do, all right? Because they say there's a Chinese proverb, even though the man who shared it didn't tell us in Chinese, he said it in English, that no matter how far you walked down the road, at the point you realize that it's the wrong route for you, the common sense thing, the noble thing to do, the honest thing to do is to turn back, right? All right.
Absolutely, you're right. It still boils down to what we are saying.
Right.
That you are a lecturer does not restrict you to just the classroom. It's an avenue for you to explore because you are certified. I mean, you can venture into practically anything in that space.
Yes.
People would give you a thumbs up. People would, you're verified because you are a lecturer. So
you have authority.
You have authority in that field, in that space. So it is time for them to think inwards. It's the whole frustration that leads, that brings about the corruption in the educational system.
Right.
You see lecturers extorting students, going to any lengths to
becoming aggressive
because of the fact that they are not, of course, it is only natural for them not to be satisfied with that pay.
Right.
And when they now start to compare themselves with other, sectors.
And even their counterparts beyond Nigeria.
Beyond Nigeria, exactly. Just like what we have the doctors doing now, traveling out of the country.
Right.
Maybe very soon we'll have lecturers, trying to explore other parts of the world.
That has started already. I know a lecturer from a federal university who said if he had known earlier, he would have left pretty much earlier than he did. Funny enough, he didn't even go to the US or anywhere in Europe. He just went to the Middle East.
And they could actually have a better life there.
And he says his heart goes out to his colleagues who remain in the same university. Well, what more can we say? Let's take a break, everyone. We'll continue to talk about Nigeria's education, especially in this instance case where it has to do with the university system and the ongoing industrial action by the Academic Staff Union of Universities that has entered its second day. When we return, it will be time to look at newspaper and headlines for you. Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us. Welcome back. Right now, we go straight to the paper review segment. I'm quite excited. I don't know why, but I feel like today's paper would hit differently. And let's go with to the very first paper here, which is the Guardian newspaper. The first story there, just below the name plate. Let's start with the big story that says 72.64% of Nigeria's oil petrol imported amidst rivalry from new refineries. That story is on page 6. The next one, NAS proposes November 2026 for next general elections. Why? Why?
Maybe well, first of all, it's a legislative proposal, so we're not so sure how it's going to turn out, because it's going to have, there has to be wide consultation. Stakeholders need to share their thoughts. Who knows, maybe there won't be public hearing in this case, but it's just proposal to ensure that the elections hold early. For context, who knows, I'm just speculating. Maybe the whole idea is to ensure that we speed up this process of litigation that usually follows our electoral process, because people have been agitating for a while now to say, look, first of all, must we have a situation where, or a culture where it is the legislature that brings closure to every election outcome? Can we not have a situation where we and Priscilla run for office? One person wins and the other person says, we're good. I may not be comfortable with the process, I may not like the process, but we're done and dusted, let's move on to the next one. Instead of one person saying, no, I was rigged out, I was shortchanged, I'm going to court and all of that. Then, of course, the idea also is ultimately to have a definite time window where you can say all election-related litigation must end or be dispensed with within 60 days, within 90 days, within 180 days, or whatever it is. But again, like I said, this is just very early in the day.
So this will give room, or say a time frame, a good number.
Yeah, so that exactly we don't keep dragging, because most times governors have been sworn in, president has been sworn in on the 29th of May, as it is with the general election cycle, apart from the off-grid instances. And then you see, psychologically, we're all human beings before anything else. The governor is not even so sure of what is going to happen. Will tribunal remove me? Will they annul the election? What will happen at the appeal? And in the case of the president, what will happen at the Supreme Court and things like that? And then for those who have legitimacy issue in the first instance, because that's very concerning. Yeah. If as a governor or president you have questions around legitimacy of how you got into office, how you emerged even within your political party structure, ultimately how you won the election, it's only natural that you are going to be even 3 or 4 times more worried about all of this. But our electoral process, regardless of what we are doing today, has to be such that the average Nigerian can believe in it, can trust in it, can repose confidence in it. Otherwise, even when people win legitimately, genuinely, organically, we are still going to find reasons to blame them. Somebody was saying something yesterday on our program in Global Morning. I think was saying that, regarding the nomination of this new INEC chairman, right? That people are always going to have a problem with nomination, no matter who has nominated them or who has been so nominated. That's the fact. Yeah. Even if they nominate somebody from your streets, somebody from my street will have a problem with it. If we nominate somebody from your place of worship, somebody from your other place of worship will have a problem with it. But in all, leaders must bring sincerity of purpose to the table. We must show that trajectory over time in such a way that when such a nomination is made at any level, regardless of the agency or institution of government involved, on a very large scale, there can be that endorsement of saying that we trust this decision.
Well, we hope that at the end of the day, it all works together for every Nigerian. Good. Right. Let's go to the next story, which is Dangote warns against using monopoly claims to discourage local investment. And that detail is on page 4. I thought the whole Dangote Pengasin drama is over.
Yeah.
Defections, I beg your pardon. Makinde insists Nigerians hold ultimate verdict. I think there should be a rule, a law to this defection. It's becoming too annoying. There should be a law that restricts a party member to its party for a certain number of years, so that you do your whole calculation before joining.
Let's say 115 years.
Yes, maybe not 115 years. maybe 4 years. Maybe that's
within the time during which you're in office.
Yes, because it's becoming annoying. It's you find members of parties switching parties basically because this party is dominating, or this party is beginning to have more power,
Right.
you know, and it's not, I think it waters down democracy. Yes, when you start putting things like power, you start having some, you know, what do I call it? Funny preferences, basically because some other party has posed itself as the one in authority or the one with the most money, or, you know, some funny...
The one that is most influential.
The one that is most influential, and
Right.
you find defections here and there. There should be a law that bounds a party member to a party for the number of years in which that party or that person has been elected to serve in a particular position. I feel so.
Okay, but again, for clarity, quite frankly, yes, we should have that situation where people don't just jump ship, so to speak, you know, at every turn. But then again, there's it's a bit turny, it's a bit complicated. First of all, people have freedom of association. I can decide to be Priscilla's friend. I can decide to be someone else's friend. Now, if I become someone else's friend, Priscilla cannot fault that. It's a choice that I made. As long as I don't infringe on your rights while being friends with that person. The other person, conversely, doesn't have a problem. Shouldn't have a problem with me being friends with you and things like that. So it's pretty much the same principle with affiliation or association with political parties. However, the law is very clear. So the law says for you to defect from a party, in the case of Nigeria, the 1999 Constitution was amended. Your party must be seen to have been in very deep crisis, all right? And that crisis must be seen to have adversely, in a way that is tangible or significant, impacted your party. Then third, there must be empirical evidence.
But is that the case? What
That
defections we have right now?
those differences, that crisis, all right, in your party is either one that cannot be resolved or does not show, or your party has not shown capability or capacity to resolve it. But in most cases, like you highlighted, that is not the situation we're dealing with. People look for different excuses. I mean, have you seen some resignation letters from political parties? It looks kangaroo-ish. Then you're asking, but in any case, how many of these parties are really serious? You see, they say everything falls and rises and falls on leadership. So if that's the case, the question is how robust, how vibrant, how exemplary is the leadership of an average political party across board
In Nigeria.
So if you can't provide that quality of leadership, for example, I remember in 2011, there was a story of a member of Congress in the US, all right, whose picture was found, I think it was on Facebook, unclad, just at the top. I mean, he had this unclad picture that had gone viral at that time. Of course, many people had seen the picture. Just at the top, he was in his house, all right? But he was a member of Congress. It was his own political party that told him to resign. I know the average politician and political party in Nigeria cannot relate with that.
Yes.
When it was also the case of Governor Andrew Cuomo in New York just a few years ago, it was also the leadership of the Democratic Party that told him to resign. In Nigeria, the governor is the leader of the party, so that's
The governor is the leader of the
yes.
party.
I mean, it's a public knowledge. It's not hidden. Once you become a governor, even if you, for example, we have seen governors decamp to the APC recently, whether it's Delta State or you want to talk about Akwa Ibom, for example. The APC leaders in those states. By the way, we also hear the Enugu governor is likely to be campaigning today.
Yes.
The APC leaders in those states already know that the governor automatically becomes the leader of the party. Governor Sheriff Boriwori from, Delta State, who had been the PDP the whole time, won his election in 2023 on the platform of the PDP. Today is the leader of the APC. You may not like it as a long-standing, committed, devoted, staunch supporter of the APC, but the fact of the matter is the de facto leader of that party. Is the way it works.
I mean, this is the reform we're talking about. This thing.
Okay, we need to work on that.
Yes, these are part of the things we're.
So we take powers away from the governor.
Of course, the party leader is the party leader. The governor is the governor. Those are two different positions and should be treated separately.
You know, somebody said, let's see the size of the state chairman of the party's bag, then let's see the size of the governor's bag. Can we just leave the matter? Let's leave it at the issue of bag.
well. I mean, it just goes to say why we are where we are. Let's continue with the paper review. Let's just go to the very last story here, which is on the ASUU strike. Labour wades into FG ASUU rift as strike grounds varsity nationwide. You find that detail on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Okay, I think I have the final one here. On the final note, federal government's multi-billion naira FCT home project excites. Why does this look laughable? Judiciary.
It's exciting already, even though you're not a member of the judiciary, right?
I'm excited. Well, let's take it to the next paper, which is the Daily Trust. I would have you take us through that.
All right, so thank you, Priscilla. The Daily Trust, just a handful of headlines we have here. Top right, corner first, just beneath the nameplate. National Assembly wants elections to hold earlier. That was the one Priscilla was referencing a while ago. Enugu commissioners quits PDP as Mba joins APC. Finally, is here. Super Eagles face Benin in must-win World Cup qualifier today. You see, after the storm, now comes the calm. The Super Eagles had a mid-air crisis with their aircraft, but today they're already in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State capital, to face Benin Republic. Mariam Sanders released worst injustice to us, husband's family. Well, the government said it was on the grounds, it was purely on humanitarian grounds that she has children. Then she has also shown remorse. The last few years she has been incarcerated. But there have been questions as to how about people who committed some sort of lesser crimes, have maybe more children, and then, who knows, shown more remorse as well.
I think more of the questions are coming from the angle of how about Nnamdi Kanu? Yes, because I saw, and I think.
Are they shown remorse? Does he have children?
Well, there appears to be a protest on 20th of October for that. I don't know if you've seen that.
Okay,
so,
sure.
I think we should.
Shawari has been pushing that for a while. He's trying to rally political figures across the country.
Yes, I've seen people coming out to say, "Oh, we're going to march on the 20th of October for the release of Kanu." I also saw that Shawari, had a meeting with Jonathan on that very issue. I don't know about.
Said he reached out to former Vice President Atiku, the governors in the southeast as well, including Governor Oti of Abia, Peter Mba of. The PDP as well.
Yeah, but then the question still remains, has he shown remorse? If he has, why not? Please, he needs to be released. In my opinion, though.
But the issue of Mazin and the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra is such that, first, it has not gone through the legal mills, so to speak. Yeah, it has to go full cycle. That's why even the leaders of Ahanis Indigbo in the southeast of the country are treading very carefully by appealing to the conscience of the president to say, use your good officers to help us find a political solution, because they also understand. These are learned elder statesmen.
If you're going to give a verdict to for how many years?
Well, maybe that has to do with the complication of the case. He jumped bail at a point. That also extended it. He had to be brought back from Kenya and all of that. And Justice Yanko's verdict, order was very clear. He was granted bail. The terms of the bill were clear as well. One of the things was you won't grant press statements. You won't speak to the press on whatever occasion, for whatever reason, at any point in time. And then, of course, you must report to these courts on these terms, and all of that. But next thing you know is he leaves the country. Next thing you know is he's said to be somewhere in Israel. Next thing you know is he's somewhere else in the UK. Next thing you know is he's brought from Kenya to Nigeria. So it's like pouring petrol into fire. So again, let's hope the federal government, who knows, maybe through the office of the Attorney General of the Federation, can help proffer political solution. But until that, Shawari also needs to understand that he must tread carefully. He can't afford to make this catastrophic or go violent in any way. All right, it must be a case of appeal, because whether you like it or not, the charges brought against him, it's in public domain. They are very hefty and they border squarely on treasonable felony. Right. Okay, so let's move on and see more headlines from the Daily Trust newspaper for you. All right, it says soldier allegedly commits suicide after killing wife in Niger. My colleagues were having this conversation yesterday in the newsroom, and I didn't know how to join, because it just appears to be one kind of nasty death after another. And two of the ones we have seen back to back the last few days have had to do with soldiers.
Yeah, in the military space. Excuse me, I don't know why.
Just it's embarrassing, but let's not overflog this, please. 10 governors attend traditional rulers meeting in Lagos. Cameroon's coalition claims early victory in presidential poll. We saw videos of the opposition candidates voting, as well as the incumbent. A man who has been there for close to 4 decades, talking about President Paul Biya also voting. He's seeking 8th term in office to extend his time. He's 92 as we speak today, but who knows? Somebody jokingly said he wants to excellently outdo the records of former President Robert Mugabe of Zimbabwe.
Finally, this is an African thing, right?
Okay, well, let's look at the last headline from the Daily Trust newspaper for you today. The very foot of the front page. Varsities shorts. ASU rejects no work, no pay policy. Find those details on page 5 of the Daily Trust newspaper. All right, read up those details, all the headlines for yourself as well.
And then what is the labor union, right? What are they saying about the whole ASU strike? We've not heard from them.
Of course, it's simple. The basis of this strike is the 2009 agreement. So labor wants it implemented as agreed in 2009. That was 16 years ago. Incidentally, then it was late former President Yar'Adua who was in office. Of course, he had become ill at that time, and government and governance are a continuum. So if the federal government, it wasn't the president at the time, it was the federal government. And now we understand the current government under the leadership of President Bola Tinubu is renegotiating the terms, the clauses in that agreement, and ASU doesn't seem to find that funny at all. And it's interesting how the federal government has insisted, even up till yesterday, that it is now a case of the ball being in the courts of ASU, that the federal government has done its part.
Well, let's go to the...
Priscilla needs to do her part too on the program by bringing us headlines from These Day newspaper.
Okay, just above the nameplates there, we have the very first story. Rewane, Nigeria's economic recovery tangible rooted in fiscal consolidation, sectoral resilience. There's a rider to that story. We subjected NBS, that's the National Bureau of Statistics data, to both empirical and anecdotal tests. Investors, analysts view data as mostly genuine. Is that way you have to explain this to us? The next story is on the presidency allays fears over Edun's health, says he's getting better. And that detail is on page 5. Okay, the very next one. 2027, National Assembly proposes November 2026 for presidential governorship elections. There's a rider to that that says targets end to post-swearing in litigation. The big one. Religious leaders reject U.S. claims of genocide against Nigerian Christians. There are 4 riders to that story. The first one says, U.S. official in Nigeria says, initial findings show both faith impacted. Khan warns against designating Nigeria's country of special concern. Says it will lead to suffering, leeway for terrorists to operate. JNI, Murik, others insist killers should be treated as animals. And that should be all on the This Day news paper. Let's take it to the next paper.
Yeah, just to be clear, I think what the Chief Executive Officer of Financial Derivatives Company, Mr. Bismarck Rwani here, is talking about is to say that, he's talking about the reforms that have been so far driven by President Bola Tinubu's government, all right, how that specific and very substantial investments are being made in different sectors, and then of course we are seeing all of that paying off over time. And then he's also obviously making reference to sectoral resilience, whether you're talking about agriculture, petroleum, infrastructure and all that. But agriculture is where people still find that not so much has been done. Some people say, well, it's still early in the day, just been about 2 years since he took over office. But they're also trying to put it side by side what we had seen with former, now late President Muhammadu Buhari, 8 years, all of the issues we saw with massive investments across different fields of agriculture and things like that. But let's give the president some more time and see how much more the government can achieve. Yes, in this regard. Yes, more time, of course, whether you like it or not, more time will come.
We don't have a choice.
The man has 4 years first time in office, and he has done just a little over 2 years. Even if we agree, we're not giving him more time. The law has already given him that time already, so we just need to place some extra demand on our patience. And I know you are a particularly patient person. All right, let's look at Standard Times newspaper for you here. The Star headline says, cooking gas price hike, federal government orders NMDPRA to step up depot monitoring. That's the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority to step up depot monitoring. Of course, because that is basically the downstream sector or that affects the everyday Nigerian. So if there's an issue with the depot, it means that Priscilla may not have gas and petrol. All right, what more do we have? It says here, it says Mba, that's referring to Governor of Enugu State. Enugu cabinet members dump PDP, join APC.
Was there a law that says when the governor moves out of a party, the cabinet members must go with him?
No, Priscilla, there's definitely no law. I think it's a case of loyalty, and then there's a bit of bandwagon with it. We were seeing, for example, a case, Akwa Ibom, I'm sure, yes, where there was a commissioner who said he was not going to move with the governor, and he did the honorable thing by resigning. All right, but not everybody have those balls. Some people do certain things because of the, in politics, they call it the optics. They're concerned about what people will say, how will they be viewed, how will they affect their political ambition, how will they affect their appointments, and all of those. There are others who take actions, make decisions based on their personal conviction, and they're ready to take responsibility for whatever actions, or if you like, choices that they make. But what we always say in Nigeria is, once the governor defects, everybody goes with him. We saw that in Edo State, for example, at the twilight of his first term in office, Godwin Obaseki in 2020 had to leave the APC for the PDP, and we saw how so much, almost the entire cabinet went with him, at least 90% of them, I'm sure, of course, including the deputy governor at the time. That was some 5 years ago. So the question you're asking actually borders on personal integrity, personal honor, and then personal conviction. If you are going with the governor, why are you going? Is it because you feel the governor's move is in the overall interest of the states? Is it because you feel the governor has done you so much favor and you owe him one, as they say? Or is it also because you are convinced it is the right thing to do by your conscience and based on ethics? Or you just feel, no, 2027 is around the corner. If I don't go with this governor, I'm not so sure what will happen to my appointments. I've worked for this party and I've worked for this governor. So we can interrogate all of those issues, but again, our democracy is still evolving, and that evolution involves the people who are playing the political chess. All right, so let's go find a few more headlines for you from the paper this morning. That is the Standard Times newspaper. All right, here it says, sacked workers go spiritual, organize special ritual in Zamfara. All right, no rift between Governor Ayedatiwa and Minister Tunji Ojo. That's credited to the All Progressives Congress, APC. Gunmen ambush police patrol team in Benue. 2 officers injured. Just when you think this Benue issue is over, you start hearing of and seeing in some cases skirmishes of attacks. Nigeria's oil output falls to 1.3 million barrels per day in September. That report, you'll find details on page 13 and is credited to the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC. Kano police busts armed robbery syndicates, arrests 9 suspects, recover weapons. The last headline is on the foods of the paper this morning. It says digital payments to bridge banking gap for rural communities. That's according to the Central Bank of Nigeria. All right, so those are your headlines this morning from the Standard Times newspaper. Time to look at the next one, which is the National Star.
Okay, so let's go to the National Star. The very first story there, just below the nameplate, I think, corner there. Political parties unite to bold electoral reforms. One-day polls tech transparency. And that detail is on page 21. OPEC Nigeria differ on September oil output figure. You'll find that detail on page 14. NAS proposes November 2026 for presidential governorship elections, and that's on the 2027 election. And to the big story, ASU strike, federal government romances Konwa, invokes no work, no pay rule. About 3 riders there. The first one says, we've met all ASU demands. Directs VCs to withhold salaries of ASU members, exempt Konwa members. Counters out of strike. Rival group backs federal government. A strike shuts varsities down. That was nationwide. Another story there on page 3 says, stop intimidating ASU with no work, no pay. NLC slams the federal government. Nigeria secures £190 million EU funding for agricultural development. Bandits demands 20 million naira access fee from farmers in Zamfara. That detail is on page 2. Demolition. Government plunging Nigerians deeper into hardship, and that's coming from Obi, the presidential candidate for 2023 elections. You find that detail on page 21. Bruno leads as INEC releases numbers of registered voters, and that detail is on page 21. NNPCL hikes petrol pump price to 995 naira. I don't know if that's the Lagos price or the Abuja price, but you find that detail on page 14. And finally, we have on sports 2026 FIFA World Cup. Eagles in make or mark clash against Benin today, and that detail you find on page 23. Now let's take it to. Can we take any more?
Incidentally, that would be the last step.
Okay.
For you. Just a quick reminder that all of these headlines will bring to you. They're just as published by their respective publishers. Global Television or the team here on Global Morning does not in any way make a contribution to them, but we encourage you to read out details so you can stay guided and understand where the news is heading. We'll take a quick break. When we return, it will be time to put our first conversation on the road for you. Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
All right, welcome back. This is the very first segment of the show today. And today we're talking about something that doesn't always make the headlines, but it silently affects everything. And what are we talking about? We're talking about reputation and nation building. That is, building credible leadership through public relations. Now, in a world where a single post or a statement can make or mar a leader's reputation or credibility. And it is time, I think we've come to that time where reputation is not just a personal asset. It should become, a national tool for progress. To help us put context to this conversation today, I have a public relations expert. She's quite versed in this field. And together, I want to dissect what it means, what nation building and reputation actually, how we can build credible leadership as a nation, and how we can better position ourselves as a nation to other climes of the world. Please stay with us after this break.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
All right, welcome back. So we are on the conversation, public relations, like reputation and nation building, building credible leadership through public relations. And to help us unpack this topic, I'm joined by a public relations expert. She's here and she has worked with sectors, I'll say that, helping people, helping leaders to better shape narratives and to align themselves with the public trust. To help us unpack this conversation is Yemi Balogun. You're welcome to the studio virtually this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Christina.
Yeah,
I'm happy to be here.
It's so good to have you with us. First off, before we go proper into the conversation, I would like you to give us your journey, a brief summary of your journey into public relations.
Okay, good morning once again. It's a pleasure to be here. My journey is not too far from where we are right now.
Yeah, what inspired you? Basically, that's what I want to know. What inspired you?
Yes. Actually, I was inspired. I would say that I was inspired by the fact that I know that people hold different opinions about institutions, about organizations, about a nation, and these opinions spread further, it spread faster, and many times when you check these opinions, they are wrong opinions. You understand? This saying that says you're entitled to your opinion. Mm-hmm. So if you're entitled to your opinion, then you should the people who shape that opinion so that it will form a beautiful narrative for your nation, for your organization or institution, as it were. So this is one that inspired me into this field of public relations.
Interesting. Let us begin with the basics. What is the relationship between reputation and nation building?
All right. Before I dive directly into the answer, right? Mm-hmm. I want us to quickly talk about what public relations is and reputation is. Okay. This term involves a whole lot of process. It involves a whole lot of process. But I think for this context now, we're talking about nation building, reputation. So if you want to build a nation, reputation is very, very fundamental to nation building. Because the collective perception of a country's leadership, the perception of a country's leadership structure, their policies, their programs, and their implementation processes shapes public trust and builds a national unity. So if we want to talk about a strong positive reputation, a strong positive reputation of a nation would attract growth, it would attract development, attract investment. Take, for instance, the late President Muhammadu Buhari's administration in its early years. Essentially, to restore the public trust of Nigeria, what he did was to launch an anti-corruption campaign to promote transparency. And you see, despite the challenges that he faced, the efforts were framed to restore the reputation of the economy. And then you see that by the time he did that, he began to recover looted funds. He fought corruption, even though many people were not so pleased with that. And the proceeds was that the country began to attract investors, and we began to see growth and development in some sectors of the economy, even if it's not all. So what a reputation does to a nation is that it helps to build unity. It helps to strengthen national unity and build the trust of that nation, and it helps to even rebuild broken walls, right? So the reputation manager is a bridge connector that helps to go through all the processes to make sure that the national trust of a nation is being restored.
Okay, so I believe you have put the relationship, you've outlined, you've spelled out the relationship between between nation building and reputation. And in your view, how important is leadership credibility in driving national development?
Okay, so if you want to build confidence in your citizens, if you want to build confidence, if you want to maintain that trust that you built, if you want to maintain it, then there is need for credibility. The leadership credibility is very critical because credible leaders inspire confidence amongst their citizens. They inspire confidence amongst foreigners, amongst investors, right? So if you are a credible leader, if there's credibility in your leadership, you don't scare growth away, you rather attract growth. So you woo investors to come into your nation and invest. And when investors come to invest, it impacts the lives of the citizens positively, right? So credibility is built on transparency. It is anchored in accountability. It is anchored in consistency. Can you say a thing and maintain it? Can you say this is a policy you're putting in, and then we are seeing the actions that you're putting into place to implement these policies? Are you able to mobilize resources? Are you able to mobilize resources, equitably? So because without trust in leadership, development efforts may falter due to public fear, lack of cooperation and all. So leadership credibility is basically anchored on consistency. It is anchored in confidence. It is anchored in transparency and accountability. It is very, very critical if we want to build our nation, because it also fosters national unity.
I'll come back to that question. Before I do, let's go to this next one. How many people think, or many people actually think PR, as public relations, is just about image polishing? What exactly is true public relations, and what does it entail when it comes to leadership and governance?
Well, I know a lot of people hold that opinion that it's all about the polishing, it's all about just the mere branding, but it goes deeper than that. You see, the public relations involves a whole lot of strategic communication. It involves a whole lot of processes, like I said earlier. It involves communication, it involves engagement with your public, it involves building lasting trust, building lasting mutual relationship, and sustaining and maintaining this relationship, right? So if you want to foster an authentic narrative that aligns with your mandate, then the public relations will do a lot of strategic communication, to change narrative, to build trust, to change perception, shift perception, and make sure that the trust consistently builds the heart of the citizens or those who are serving. So it goes deeper than mere polishing. It goes deeper than just image making. It shifts public relations, shape perception because of your strategic communication that you employ, and this involves a whole lot of process. You see, giving the right information to the right people and tracking this information will help you get feedback that would help you, improve in your communication work, so that the trust you're trying to build will remain constant. Yes.
Okay, let me ask this one. To be realistic with the time and age we're in right now, social media is the order of the day, and we find a lot of people going online to spill stuff about others. What is that practical step? At the end of the day, Nigeria is represented by every individual out there on this social media space in this digital era. What is that strategic step we can take to redeem this negative public image that most Nigerians, come out there to spill about the nation?
Well, this responsibility is hanging on you and I, right? We reside in our country. We are residents of Nigeria. We are indigenous of Nigeria, and we reside in Nigeria. And so it's not going to speak well of us when we see that these narratives have been pushed in a negative light about our nation. Our nation is a blessed nation. We are rich. We are rich in agriculture. We are rich in science. We are rich in technology. We are rich in arts. We are rich in entertainment. So by the time we start to push these narratives forward, we see that, and then we begin to show our achievements. See that corporately, we can corporately change all of these narratives. Fine, you might not be able to claim these social media excesses, but then by the time we begin to push our positive image out there, we see that all of this negativity will reduce to its barest minimum. So the onus is on you and I, on every Nigerian, to pick up on the positive side of our country, amplify it, and let it go viral. And by the time we do all of this, we take it as our own personal job. We see that all of the negativity will definitely reduce, because Nigeria is a beautiful country. Nigeria is a rich country. We are the giants of Africa, and I don't think that we are going back on that anytime soon. So we need to push our positive narrative out there, because if we don't do it, nobody will do it for us. Nobody will do it for us. So that's just what I feel.
So I asked the question previously about people having the notion that public relations is basically about image polishing, positioning yourself as good, pushing the right narrative, just like you said. But is it always the truth? Like, is there a place of saying the absolute truth and still pushing the right narrative? Because most times what we call right narratives sometimes could be polished, something that has a sense of a feel-good sense. Should it always be so? Can we actually say the right things, the reality of things, and still call it public relations?
Well, if you want to push a correct narrative about your nation, then you should be pushing the correct information. We have data. We have factual information that you can push with data backing up everything that you're trying to push. So it is not about public relations. It's not about lying. It's not about polishing. It's about saying what it's about saying what it is
with proof,
with evidence, with facts, with proofs. Yes, with proofs. So by the time you come out with your facts, you come out with the figures, you come out with data, and you'll be able to push the correct narrative. You'll be able to push accurate narrative. So you check with your data, you do a fact checking, you do a thorough work, so that even if someone is coming to counter, your facts remain your fact. So you're not just polishing a lie, you're not just packaging a lie, but you're saying the real facts as it is, and then you're saying it, and by the time we check it, we see that your information are true, there are no lies in it, and it's not just mere polishing. You're not just trying to maintain steeze, you're not trying to maintain composure, but you're trying to give us as it is. If I say that Nigeria is rich in agriculture, I have my facts, I have my figures to back up. And if you check everywhere, you will see that it's the truth. It's the truth. So what we just need is just to maximize these resources, and then the world will be a better place for all of us.
Okay, now talking about public relations, it has a lot to do with reputation. And most times, I feel like a lot of Nigerians like to do damage control. We don't always, go towards the preventive strategies, steps to take to prevent mayhem, to prevent, that bad reputation that we usually see. So what are those key factors that every young Nigerian out there? Because most times, I'm directing it to young Nigerians, because a lot of aged people have actually made mistakes, and sometimes they don't even come out to admit it. But I think to repair whatever damage we want to repair, it's best to address the younger generation, so that we have a new breed, a brand new Nigerian, growing up. You get. So what is that? What are those steps? What are those factors that should be considered as preventive in order to avoid bad reputation?
We really have a lot to do in this aspect, because the era of social media has made everything really, really very complicated, right? So if we want to, there are messages that should be tailored to the younger generation, because there's the Gen Z generation. You see, our leaders are coming out to put in measures that will control the excesses, that will check the excesses of what goes right on social media. Then we would have a bit of fake. We'll have a bit of dousing fake, to douse news and then check the excesses of this younger generation. If you have access to the mobile phone, you have access to data, and then you just go on, you just go online and then post anything, and nobody's checking you, nobody is calling you to order, nobody is putting preventive measures, and there are no policies. It's going to escalate into a lot of crisis. And when because that level of crisis, damage control will not have any option to damage control. But before we get to that stage, I believe there are checks and balances that should be put in. There are laws, there are principles, and there should be punishment that should be meted out to those defaulters. So we need to put checks and balances. There are some laws that should be enforced, stringent laws to be put in place that will control what goes on social media. And by the time every Nigerian have this at the back of their mind, I believe that they will be regulated.
So where's the thin line between freedom of speech, and making utterances out there that are not verified? Did you get that? I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Oh, I think we lost her. We lost our call. Okay, I think at this point we've gotten so much insight from our guest Yemi Balogun, and it has been insightful. Like I have said, it's time that we take, public relations, reputation, whatever it is that we say, we should be able to account for every word we utter, because at the end of the day, it molds, it shapes not just our personality, but our reputation as a nation. Before you go out there to say things on the internet, be sure to have verified your facts. Yes, make sure you have researched well. A lot of, in this time and age, in the internet age that we are in right now, a lot of people speak from their experiences. And unfortunately, there are people out there that are waiting for, to just grab whatever people say on that space, which shouldn't be. Make sure you do your findings. Make sure you verify whatever it is you hear or see on the internet. And like I said, before putting out stuff out there, be sure to verify before speaking, because you are, whether you like it or not, pushing a narrative that, shapes us as a nation, that people would perceive us as a nation. And at this juncture, we would call it the end of the very first segment of the discussion here on Global Morning. We'll take a quick break, and when we return, we'll return to the very next segment of the discussion for the show. Please don't go anywhere.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
All right, welcome back. Mr. Uyi, we were on the conversation about, public relations, narratives that have been pushed out there. A lot of Nigerians come out to speak from their experiences, and then they make it a standard of living, and funny enough, there are people on the internet space that just come out, come to that space, hear whatever they hear, and start to run their lives with it. Ultimately, I think it affects us as a nation. You push out stuff. Some people come out to say 90%, you've not done any research whatsoever. You don't have any facts. You don't have any, empirical evidence whatsoever. You just come out to say 60% of Nigerians are this, 90% of men, 70% of women. I know you get sick of this stuff on the internet. I mean, it shapes us. It shapes us as a nation, whether we like it or not. We run with it. Some people run with it. It affects how we live. It affects how we grow as a nation. What do you have to say?
The fact of the matter is, human beings are a bundle of emotions. So most times when people make those statements or put out those claims that they are bogus and everything else, it comes from a place of emotion, comes from a place of sentiment and bias, right? Okay, so with due respect to everybody whose marriage has suffered, if someone has had a failed marriage, especially when it was the other spouse who was largely responsible for that marital failure, you keep hearing things like all women are the same, all men are the same. In fact, there's an unprintable word they use in the case of men. Let's not go there today, all right? But the question is, have you married all the men in the world? Have you married all the women in the world? How do you know all women are the same, all men are the same? So we take such claims with a pinch of salt, knowing that it's just a combination of three elements: sentiments, emotions, and biases, all right, combined. And then in the case of Nigeria, you hear things like, well, leave that in, 95% of Nigerians are criminals.
Exactly.
95% of politicians are thieves, and things like that. But we're seeing fine politicians. We're seeing fine policemen. We're seeing soldier men who know their job, love their job, and we've seen them even put their lives on the line for their job and things like that. So we just make sweeping statements about things because of where we're coming from. We use our personal experiences, like you said, as a yardstick. So if you buy, for example, a device from a particular, from someone from a particular tribe that didn't work, you say, don't mind these people, that's how they are. But some of us have also purchased other things, way more expensive than yours, from people from this tribe, and we are so impressed, we have had to go back to purchase from them again, we've had to even recommend them, we have had to make referrals and things like that. So we must understand something called impression, right? There are people who are particularly impressionable, which means that their minds are, for want of a better word, so simple that they easily just pick things and they run with those things. They don't have much of, they have little or no independent mind of their own. They don't have much of independence of thoughts. So once I tell them, for example, don't buy Priscilla, she's a gossiper, and they just run with it. Yes, and they are not even asking, have you worked with her? Is she your neighbor? Did you guys go to the same school? So how did you come to knowing that she's a gossip? Nobody wants. So we must also do our own due diligence so that we don't just answer. Because I've seen leaders, all right, take decisions on the basis of assumption. Some of those decisions have come to hurt and haunt the organizations they lead over time. All right, so we must be careful the things we pick up, especially in this day and age where social media is very influential and things like that. I know of a state, for example, now where you find members of rival political parties are fighting themselves out, all right? They call them data boys. So one political party buys data for certain young people. The other political party also buys data for the other young people. So everybody is pushing narratives. So we don't seem to leave much
it almost looks like people are being paid now to.
Of course, that's why they are called data boys. So you have politicians who buy data for a bunch of young people. Another politician does the same. So it's your narrative against my narrative. Growing up, it was a matter of facts. It was a matter of truth. So you either had facts or you were telling the truth. But these days, nobody's asking the facts. Or what are the facts? Everybody wants to push narrative. So my narrative could be that Priscilla is the one bringing XR from China, all right? So everybody who didn't like Priscilla before today will jump on it. Everyone who doesn't have the patience and the bandwidth, if you know what I mean, all right, to process that information will buy into it, hook, line, and sinker. And at the end of the day, before we know what's happening, that narrative has done more damage than we can repair in 10 years. And you know what they say, before the truth gets the chance to put on its trousers, all the lies would have gone around the world. Yeah, and it's quite disheartening. And that's why you keep hearing these days, my truth, my truth. The fact of the matter is, Priscilla, there's no such thing as my truth. It is either the truth or it's false. Because if Priscilla, myself, and someone else, three of us who have disagreement over an issue, I come and I speak my truth. Priscilla speaks the truth. The other person speaks the truth.
And I have three different truths.
Exactly. So you can imagine how demonic that sounds, right? There's so much to say, but I also believe that, drawn from the conversation you had with our guest a while ago, we must think beyond ourselves and come to appreciate the profound adverse impacts this sort of negative narratives, negative PR can have on our dear nation. All right, let's take a quick break, everyone. There's so much, as always, to talk about on the program today. When we return, we'll bring you some more here on Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
All right, so it's almost impossible to have a breakfast show for 3 hours and not touch on politics, at least to some extent, right? One of those issues that have gone political the last few days has been the nomination of Professor Amukpito, Joash Amukpito, I should say, as the chairman of INEC. He has been nominated, all right? Of course, there's still a long road to go. He has to go to the Senate to get screened, and then he will now be inaugurated ultimately by President Bola Tinubu, who has also nominated him. But we've seen talk here and there about the choice of Professor Amukpito in terms of what was the motivation behind President Bola Tinubu's nomination of this gentleman. Could he not have been someone else? Why does the president, in any case, even have the power to nominate INEC chairman? But again, who else should have done that when the Constitution, the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, is very clear on the person in whom that power is vested. And as you also know, there has been the debate for years now as regards whether or not the president should continue to be the one with the executive latitude, right, to nominate and ultimately appoint an INEC chairman. We have seen propositions in that regard. Some have said it should be the Chief Justice of Nigeria. Others said no, it should be such that there's a hierarchy of some kind in such a way that the next in line becomes the Senate, as you say, the INEC chairman. You just follow that hierarchy all the way down. But you see, we can talk all we want. In the final analysis, it is the position of the law that wins. So if you want this to change, you've got to go change the law. I was saying in court, for example, Priscilla, real quick, where some litigants were not satisfied with certain judgments. And we've heard cases where the judge will look them in the eye and say, if you don't like the judgment or the verdict, you've got to go change your law. I didn't make the law. I'm only a judge, and I'm interpreting the law as it's currently stipulated, right?
Okay, so let us get it clear. He's supposed to be screened by the Senate.
Right.
What happens if the Senate doesn't approve of him?
Oh, amazing. You see, that's where the conversation gets interesting. But let's also look at this from 1999 till date. We have had quite a number of INEC chairmen. Some of them passed now, God rest their souls, right? We had seen, for example, amongst others, Honorable Justice Ephraim Akpata, was there 1999, conducted the election that brought former President Olusegun Obasanjo in, and he left there. Of course, he passed, and then we saw Dr. Ebel Gobadia himself, who has also passed as well. We saw a few other chairmen, including Maurice Iwu, for example, who is still very much alive doing research and making his, trying to commercialize this idea. Yeah. All right. What else? We've seen Professor Atariu Jega, for example, left in 2015, and then we've also seen the 10 years of Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, and now we have an acting chairman in the person of Madam May Agbamuchembu, who will likely be out of there, distant time, given this new nomination of Professor Josh Amukbito. Okay. The conversation today is where we are with Professor Josh Amukbito, and the question is, according to you, what happens if the Senate decides to not screen or screens and not confirm, because he will be screened whether he's confirmed or not. Yeah. The real deal is the confirmation. So assuming, without conceding, as lawyers say, that he's screened and not confirmed, what happens? It means President Bola Tinubu has a few options, all right? He can renominate him and have him sent back. Yes, we saw that with Magu, with former President Muhammadu Buhari. He went back to the Senate a couple of times, right? Even though he was eventually not screened, confirmed, and ultimately he left that office as the executive chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. So again, we go back to where we're coming from. If he goes with a big if to the Senate, he gets screened, it doesn't get confirmed, President Tinubu can decide to renominate him, but that's going to create a drag in the electoral process. Elections around the corner, so you don't want to mess with that sensitive aspect of national development. I think again, he can now decide to nominate someone else. Maybe that will make you happy.
No. It's not about me right now. It's about our legislators, right? Before the whole nomination, we saw them coming out to push a bill. Right? I think the bill was passed, saying that the president shouldn't appoint the INEC.
No, that was a legislative proposal, more like a bill that's still being debated. Yes, so it has not become a law.
Of course, it was still debated.
Yes,
it was not. It wasn't taken.
It has not been passed.
It hasn't been passed. Yeah, it hasn't been passed.
I'm not sure it has even seen second reading.
well, it went through the first reading, whether we like it or not, and it also shows how they want a change.
They who?
That is our legislators.
Okay.
They obviously want a change. They don't want
especially as it has to do with who has the powers to nominate
because
the chairman of INEC.
Yes, we've seen time over time, presidents having control power or allegedly having control power over the INEC chairman. There are speculations that if it's a president
that he can influence the chairman of INEC. Yeah.
So people, it's a special time in Nigeria. The whole political space is quite interesting right now. There are interest everywhere, and I think Nigerians are coming together, or the opposition are coming together to genuinely want a change. They want to play fair. They really want to play fair. They want the whole ground to be fair for everyone. So I think they have a point, if you ask me.
Right.
And they may also want to actually use their own powers in that space, to, at the end of the day, enforce what they want. Because it is democracy, whether we like it or not. The president has done his own part. Yeah, and the voice of the people, which, of course, is our senators representing us there, may eventually speak. So, at the end of the day, democracy is a thing. Because when we hear of the nomination, it has not even sounded like a nomination.
Oh,
it has been sounding like, okay, he has come to stay. We don't see the whole clause.
Looks like everything else is just ceremony.
Exactly. It's looking like it appears as though everything is going to be, every other thing will be a ceremony. This guy has come to stay, But we should, pass this in the.
So why does it feel like somewhere in the corner of your heart you're wishing it doesn't get confirmed?
No. I don't. My now that's funny, but at the end of the day,
right.
At the end of the day, what I want is fairness.
Okay.
You get democratic.
But do you think this nomination, this choice of Professor Josh Amogbito is fair because you say you want fairness?
Well, what I think is not fair is the proposition of having or not having the president appoint the INEC chairman, not considered. I don't know why it didn't pass the second reading.
The bill?
Yes, the bill, the proposed bill.
Well, let's say it didn't. It has not.
It has not.
Right.
Okay, so why are we acting? And they're even, why are we acting? Why is it, is it timely for, we have an acting INEC chairman.
Right.
Is it the right time? Is this the right time actually to have an appointee?
Okay, well, the issue of right timing is quite tricky to answer because whether you like it or not, we can analyze what we want here on the program, but there's always political interest. It may not even be about the president as an individual. It could be about his party. It could be about some vested interest, some establishment of some kind, and none of that, right? I'll take you back a little. So before the 2019 general election, late former President Muhammadu Buhari already had the bill that had been passed by the National Assembly, that's a combination of the Senate and House of Representatives, as already, in front of him, just for him to assent to. That was before the 2019 election. The former president did not, because he said he was close to election, all right? It might create an upset, as we say in broadcasting, it might fluster maybe the INEC itself, the umpire and all of that. So it was a case of, let's keep the main thing, let's go ahead and conduct the 2019 general election. We can get back to the bill later. Of course, the president ultimately assented to that bill in 2022. This was virtually 3 years after the 2019 general election and barely a year or so before the next cycle of general elections and all of that. So for some people, the interpretation of that is the former president didn't want to set himself at a disadvantage, or put it differently, he didn't want to shoot himself in the foot, all right, because he wanted to run for office. He wanted a rerun, he wanted to have a second shot at the Villa, right, second term and all of that. So that was a possibility, that was a theory, and it checks out, sounds valid, right? So when you ask the question of, is it timely, is it the right time to nominate, or if you like, appoint an INEC chairman, given that the 2027 general election is not far flung? First, we still have a little more than one calendar year to that election, even in the face of this new proposal that it should be held in November of 2026 and all of that. So, and then we are hearing, even though Global Television has not independently confirmed, that the acting chairman of the commission, in the person of Umbu, has not, has till, I think, February to leave office.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, it shows that she's already wrapping up. Some people say, in a manner of speaking, she's at the exit door already. So it's also a theory, it's also possible that the president wants a solid sort of footing for INEC as a commission in terms of leadership, because INEC is as pivotal within our electoral process as CBN is in the financial space, as the NNPCL is in the oil and gas sector. So we must also look at all these angles so that we're not narrow-minded in our perspective and just see it wholesale as the president pushing his personal interest or his selfish ambition and all of that.
Well, ultimately, I don't have any issues with it. Okay. I mean, it's not even in my... I don't even have any powers in that space. But
you're a Nigerian and you have interest in... I mean, you should be interested in how our electoral process is run.
Exactly, and that's where I'm coming from. It has to be democratic. It has to be fair.
Yeah, and credible.
And credible. That is it. So whoever is going to be appointed eventually should understand this. It is for Nigeria. It is not for one person.
And again, just to add to what you're saying, there has already been some subtle pressure on the gentleman himself, Professor Amupiton, because there are those who are already telling him, look, this is a sort of acid test for you, right? You're in the laboratory already as it stands right now. And you must understand that some standard has been set at IDEC, whether we like it or not. The least you can do is to raise that standard. That's the very barest you can do, raise that standard. Continue to drive innovation, especially those ones introduced by the immediate past chairman, talking about Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, all right? INEC shouldn't be any worse than it is right now. As a matter of fact, we want to see it get better as a commission on all fronts compared to what we are seeing in the past. So it will appear the man is beginning to, more than ever before, as somebody who was watching from the side, understand the work that has been cut out for him, especially by the time he gets screened and confirmed by the Nigerian Senate. And it's interesting how that there's an election in front of him in November in Anambra State. He has two other off-cycle elections again in Osun and Ekiti. And then the big one, the grand finale, is going to be the 2027 general election, which you are very interested in.
I don't think Nigerians are asking for too much. And I don't think it's...
No, apparently Nigerians are not asking for too much.
It's not difficult.
Nigerians are just only reminding these people, do your job.
Yeah, it's as simple as just be credible.
Right.
You don't need to get all the...
Don't be a superstar. Don't be extraordinary. Just do your job.
Just be you. Just be simple. That's it. Simplicity is what we're asking.
And that's the fair thing to ask, quite frankly. And we're also asking for a break at this time, everyone. When we return, we'll look at other issues of national interest for you. Do stay with us.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Again, it's only natural that when we talk about Nigeria's electoral process, we also use, within that same stretch, discuss our democracy. Priscilla just made mention of something quite instructive a while ago of CAMS, talking about how that no matter how much we want to feel, appalled by certain things we see in our polity or say we're not impressed with some developments, we can't take away the fact that Nigeria is gradually becoming a democratic space, all right? And there are quite a number of indices to support that position. You look at the kind of conversations that federal legislators are having, whether it's the upper chamber, the Senate, or the lower house, the lower chamber, the House of Representatives, you realize that we're now becoming more, as it were, articulate regarding the issues that we deal with as a nation beyond religion, ethnicity, tribe, and region. Because we couldn't have been here since 1999 in the name of practicing democracy and not understand that there's a whole lot of work to be done to strengthen the institutions, all right, that drive democratic growth and development across the world, especially for a country like Nigeria that prides itself in saying that it is practicing American kind of democracy. Yes, we may not have all the features that they have, but you see, my people say your voice is ultimately going to sound like that of the person who taught you how to sing. Mm-hmm. So if Priscilla teaches me how to sing, I'm not so sure she sings, by the way.
I think
I'm going to ultimately sound like her because she's my mentor, she's the one teaching me how to sing. So it's the same thing with this kind of thing, because there are people who say that, look, Nigeria is not at the same point today in terms of its democratic journey as it was maybe some 15 or 20 or 25 years ago. I mean, look at us. When I see some of those videos today, I just laugh in silence. Videos of when former President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo was being sworn in 1999. You know, I see videos of former President Jonathan with his former principal, late Musa Yar'Adua. I'm asking myself, are we still at that point? I mean, remember when the late former President Yar'Adua was in office? I mean, one of the things he pursued that Nigerians look back to today and they're proud of him is the amnesty program in the Niger Delta, which worked very effectively, even though we know, yes, there were challenges and hurdles in between, but it was an amazing idea. I look at videos from that time and I'm asking myself, imagine this was back in the day, 2007, 2008, and today see where we are and all of that. I know there are those of us who are in a hurry and just can't wait for us to move past this point, especially young Nigerians who have really not experienced a nation that works and delivers the dividends of democracy.
Have you actually experienced a nation that works?
Am I supposed to lie on national television? I have not. I've only heard from those who have experienced it, and most of them are lecturers. And they're my parents.
Okay, our parents experienced it.
Yes, my parents did. My parents experienced. Yes, my parents experienced in Nigeria where you could travel from the then Midwest or later known as Bengal states to Sokoto to Aba to Lagos at any time, day or night, and not be afraid. Where you could virtually enter people's houses without knowing them from anywhere. You would eat their food, drink their water, have your bath, and sleep in their house, and not be afraid and become friends with them. There was no GSM, there was no internet. So that was a Nigeria that did work.
Yeah, I totally agree. But then, you know that even at that then, they will still have their complaints. Like they say, problem not they finish.
Yeah, but it is relative now when we do comparative analysis.
Actually, because those our mothers, our fathers would still say it used to be better.
Better, yes.
Yeah. So, but then. But
the question is, did Nigeria work then?
Well,
compared to what it is today?
Well, it apparently looks as if it's getting worse. Yeah, it appears as though it's getting worse.
It's not as good today as it was back in the day, right?
Democracy
is working.
The fact that, as at then, what used to happen was a lot of Nigerians were just observers.
Right.
It was a switch. It was a transition from the British rule and colony and all that, handing over to us. It was quite new. A lot of things were still trying to get fixed and set and all that. And then most Nigerians then were just observing. I wouldn't say we have practiced democracy from 1999 when we became a democratic nation, right? But Nigerians are great people, whether we like it or not. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
The fact that we have the best of hands outside there, we have the best of hands represented, in other countries. It's just a matter of time. We're becoming more aware, right? And it is showing. We're becoming more involved. And it is showing the fact that even if Nigerians do not go to vote in 2027, our voices will still matter. Because the things we say shapes the narrative. They are feeling the heat everywhere. I would say that in the Senate, they are feeling the heat. They respond to it. Whether we, go, that is not to say do not cast your vote. Please, you have to be part of the democratic process. But democracy is getting better. Our voices are being heard. Nigerians are being heard. You see them responding. That's when I say them, I mean our leaders, our political leaders respond to the narrative that is being pushed. So it means that it is getting better. Yes, and Nigeria will be great again. I strongly believe that we will emerge. We will become top. We will become, one of the countries to be reckoned with. We will be great because we are great people. And like you said, whoever mentors you, right? Whoever mentors you, it will teach you. You begin to sing like that person. And sometimes even more than that person, because it actually happens. You actually become better than sometimes our mentors. But it is the same way as we have been mentored by the British, right? We've been mentored by them. We're seeing things come up. We're seeing technology spring up, a lot of things. And I can tell you that the average Nigerian out there, he's in tune and even better, and it is just a matter of getting the sectors working. The moment we fix our educational sector, which is not far-fetched, if our leaders do not fix it, we will fix it. We are already fixing it. Because we have students, doing better than their lecturers. So eventually we will fix it. We don't have to wait for them to fix it. It will happen on its own. And at that time, Nigeria will be able to compete with all great nations in the world.
I can totally agree with that, because whether you like it or not, it's not just so much about where we are today as it is about where we are heading. Of course, the argument favors the position that where we are today is indicative of where we are heading. But it's to say that as a country, we are too blessed to fail. We may have made mistakes, we may have encountered missteps in terms of leadership. There's a whole new generation of young people who are ready to take responsibility. Forget about those few, the pocket of them who give us bad name beyond these shores. But in all, we have an army of young people who understand that they need to take responsibility for not just their individual lives, but for the nation as well. And those are the people who are now building what I like to call brand Nigeria. And it happens that Priscilla is one of us, and she's apparently passionate. She wants to see a Nigeria that works across sectors. And really, if we fix the basics, education, health, infrastructure, we're going to be having a different conversation altogether. A professor lady shared a story with me some 5 or so years ago, I think 4 or 5 years ago, and she was talking about her son. Now, one day, this young man who had graduated not too long before that time walks up to her and says he wants to leave Nigeria. And this was in the south of the country, where basically, if you say you're leaving Nigeria, the first place that will come to people's mind will be America, UK, Canada, or somewhere in Europe. But he wasn't going to any of those places. But then she says, I can't approve that for you. If you're so bent on it, talk to your dad about it. So he speaks to his dad, and the man declines. And then after a few days, he has a second thought, and then he reluctantly agrees for him to go. He packs his bag and he leaves very casually. And then after about a month, he reaches out and says, well, he eventually landed safely, that he had started setting up his own business. I mean, he just put up a startup in tech. Now, guess where he left for? Rwanda.
Wow.
Well, one would have thought he was all the way out of Africa, but he was somewhere in Rwanda, and he said he wished he had left the country earlier. So, for me, it's a bittersweet tale to tell, because on the one hand, I'm asking myself, why would a young person be compelled to leave his fatherland, his own dear country? On the other hand, I'm consoled knowing that he's still within Africa, and he says if only he had left for that country earlier. When others are saying, I wish I had left for Canada earlier, I wish I could move to the US, I wish I could just go spend the rest of my life in the United Kingdom, and things like that. It means Africa is working. I've seen stories coming out of Kenya, coming out of Rwanda. We've seen stories coming out of even Morocco and all of that. We're seeing great stories coming out of Nigeria. Look at the current minister of the digital economy and innovation, talking about Dr. Bosun Tijani. We had seen what he did with CC Hub, Co-Creation Hub in Lagos, before he became minister. So this is not somebody who fell through the cracks of the sky. He had done something tangible. We can see he has had impact across Africa. All right, and now today he's a minister in the cabinet of President Bola Tinubu. He is also a young man, and we've seen young people who are trailing him, whether in tech, in business, across different fields, even in agriculture, for example. These young people, good enough, are not in a hurry to leave Nigeria. So they are building here, they are growing here, and they are making their impact here.
I think it's a matter of intentionality, right? Most Nigerians that travel out of the whole bandwagon effect, going to other countries, most times, if you look at those ones that travel out of purpose, do not go purposefully, do not go in line with any kind of, there's no agenda, you just want to go. They suffer.
Let's see whatever happens.
The truth of the matter is, if you take your statistics, a lot of people that are not purpose-driven actually go out there and do not do so well.
Right.
Some of them just stay there basically because of the fact that, I've already left, I cannot come back, the shame.
At least I have 247 lights, I can charge my phone and laptop.
Right, and when I come back, what would they say, But those that are in the category of, intentionality, going with a sense
they
of...
know why they left here, and they consistently pursue that purpose.
Yes, you see that they go out there and they thrive, and those are the set of people that can actually come back when they see a need, because a need should always prompt you.
Right.
They say when purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable, right? So when you do not consider the why of a thing,
right?
I mean, it is at that point you just go out there, do stuff, ruin your life eventually, because it's not just a matter of going out, being in a place that you have 24/7 life, even if it's very important. I don't want to rule that out, but how happy are you? How fulfilled are you?
If you had to do it all over again, would you take that route?
Exactly. That should be the question.
Right.
So this is not to say do not go looking for greener pastures. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying be purposeful, be intentional about whatever you're doing. Why do you want to do what you're doing?
Right.
And if we run with that kind of mindset, I think we would represent Nigeria everywhere we go to, because we will thrive. We will thrive, and the credit comes back to our nation.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Credit comes back to our nation, of course. Young people are gearing up, quite frankly, and we better recognize that. Let's take a quick break at this point, everyone. When we return, we'll talk about how leadership by young people can find some sort of intersection, especially as it has to do with the public space. Stay with us.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
If we're doing a relay this morning on the program, I would say these are victory lap, right?
Actually.
but quite frankly, just to extend our conversation that we started a while ago about young people and leadership. Yes, granted, not everybody will end up as a politician, or as we have seen in most cases in our country, career politician. But everybody has got a role to play on different levels, right? In the public space, whether you're talking about those who are going to be partisan all the way, those who are going to have to come into the public space as appointees of government, or those who are going to do some sort of consultation for government. But everybody has got to play their role. In that regard. And there's no better time for young people to build skills in that direction than now, whatever the skills may be. It may even be beyond what you studied in school. It's easy for somebody to say, I'm an economist by training, I'm a political scientist, I'm a financial expert, and what have you. Those skills are spectacularly important. However, we must have something beyond all of those. We must have emotional intelligence to understand that the first thing is service. Yes, we appreciate your skill set, your experience, your wealth of experience. We appreciate your competence, but how much you bring that to serve the people is very important. There's an example that readily comes to mind even beyond Nigeria. People always talk about Obama. That's a lot of persons got to know him in 2008, after he won election and then was sworn in on the 20th of January 2009. That's when some people got to know Obama. Some persons never knew him until he gave that speech following his announcement as the next president of the U.S. to succeed former President George Bush Jr. But before that, you look at his trajectory, look at his history. He had been doing community service even before he came into politics. He had seen the civic space. He had been a civil society guy. He had done a lot of work as a community support person. So he understood service early enough. So he was not just somebody, like what former governor said, was in a swimming pool and they called him to come and be governor. All right. So he already knew what leadership in the public space meant, that it was about service, first of all, which is a very fundamental element we're missing for the most part in the way we understand public service in Nigeria.
We understand leadership generally, because I think we're in a generation where we have a generation that does not understand what service means. Everybody wants to reap. Everybody wants to make money. Everybody wants to have it all. Everybody just wants to be in that position of, advantage. That advantage
what's in it for me?
What do I stand to gain? But at the end of the day, what actually separates you? What makes you a superhuman? Let me put it that way.
Right.
When you're able to, when you have this soft skill, you have it's the hard skills are good, like you said. You can do whatever you want to be. You have your career going for you. Well, how about your soft skill set? How empathetic are you? How kind are you? You get how all of these things actually makes you exceptional, and it makes leadership easy, because people are in positions of leadership and they are struggling because they do not know how to connect to the human beings around them. They feel like humans are complex. It is because you don't know how to penetrate them. And if you understand how to, have, a hang over all of this, I'm saying that is a soft skill set, you would find leadership easier. Yes. So it boils down, it's not just about, attaining a political position. How effective would you be? How easy? Because, you want to have it going easy for yourself. You want to have everything going smoothly. Some people are in positions, like I said, they are struggling with. They are having a hard time with. Like, they felt you grow up, thinking that by the time I become this, by the time I attain this position, I am okay, I am happy. They are going through every kind of emotional crisis. They are struggling on all fronts. On all fronts. Internally, they are going through a lot. And it's as simple as having the right skill set of leadership. So when you are training your children, at the end of the day, they say the family is the bedrock of the society, right? Yes, we're training leaders in that space. You're training your kids in that space. It all starts from, having the right people around you, a good relationship, good friends around, people that understand life, that understand humanity. Because no matter what we do, it is much more difficult to be a wicked person than to be a good person. Yes. So I mean,
I know right-thinking person wants to be remembered as a wicked person because we want to leave our footprints, or as they say, leave our foot, in sense of time. And you don't want to be the guy or the lady who's remembered for all the wrong reasons. And that's why value reorientation is also very important, so that we don't continue to have this custom or this culture of everybody wants to come grab from the center, everybody wanting to get a piece of the national cake. And the entire time, nobody's asking, how do we get the ingredients and materials for making this cake? Who are those who have to stay up all night, burn the midnight candle just to be able to get this cake ready for us? And it's the reason, again, patriotism has to be something that we learn when we're young, early enough, so that it becomes a part of our system, our thinking, our ideology as we grow older. We can't have a system where people see themselves first as coming from a tribe, coming from an ethnic group, coming from a region, as against seeing themselves as Americans, as Nigerians. I was going to talk about Americans. If you watch many Nigerians who have naturalized in the US, some of them have never naturalized. They see themselves more as Americans than Nigeria.
And that's bad.
As bad as it is, I've come to realize that one of the reasons perhaps is that they feel that, they just see the culture, it overwhelms them, how the average American feels as an American, as against he or she coming from Nigeria who hardly even sees themselves as
ironically, the Americans will never accept you as an American more than you are a Nigerian.
You're a Nigerian, because that's why you still, first of all, identify as a Nigerian, whether you like it or not. In your heart of hearts, you know you are a Nigerian. But then, because again, in pursuit of greener pastures, and you wanted to have a bit of competitive advantage on the global stage, you want to see yourself more as an American.
You are only deceiving yourself at the end of the day.
So the truth will catch up.
Yes.
All right. Before the truth catches off, let's run away from the program. But you just want to say thank you, everyone, for being a part of Global Morning. Today, we appreciate your time with us. Remember that the views of our guests, as always, are their opinions. I'm Uyi Agmofwebe.
And I'm Priscilla Obasi, wishing you an amazing